Hey everyone, Andrew here, and it's time for another Spreading the Joy. I was kind of split on this one whether to count this as a Spreading the Joy or a what the heck was that? Because this one has a lot of what the heck was that in it. For me, when I do a review of something called What the Heck Is That, it's not a negative thing or a positive thing, it's just a film that just left me going, what did I just watch? And this film did definitely do that. But it also has a lot more positives that I would like to shout out and talk about. And it is a film that not a lot of people have seen. And I'm like, it should be seen by more people. So this, to me, falls under both. But I'm going to lean towards Spreading the Joy. Because if you can get into this, and if you can wrap your brain around this, then this film can be a blast and can be a beloved horror film for you to watch. So today we will be talking about the 2011 film Detention. The film we're talking about today is a horror slasher film dark comedy that starts off very what you expect it to kind of be, very Scream, very, I Know What You Did Last Summer and its style, and then just gets so twisted and so convoluted in the middle that you're just kind of like going, wait, what? Okay, what? Rewind that. What just happened? And that happens a couple times in the dead middle of this film. But yeah, we're going to be talking about this one today. Like, this is a film that gets so convoluted and so complicated that I legitimately had to take notes. Like, usually when I do reviews like this, I, just go off of my memory mixed with, like, Wikipedia and some stuff to help me clarify and keep the thoughts together, and then try to edit around my own mistakes. This one I knew without even having to think about it for more than 5 seconds. Went, nope, I have to rewatch this and I have to take notes, because this one gets so weird and so convoluted as it goes. Which is a good thing, because the Wikipedia entry for this skips the majority of the plot. Like, the entire, first hour of the film is only a one-sentence line in the Wikipedia breakdown. So, yeah, I'm glad I took notes for this one, because, geez. This came out in 2011. It's got a rather unknown cast for the most part. The two biggest names in this are going to be Josh Hutcherson and Dane Cook. Just from the name Dane Cook being in this, you can already tell what kind of a comedy this might end up being. This one I do feel, like I said, I could put under either category, but I'm going to treat it as a Spreading the Joy, because it's a film that not a lot of people have seen, and it's one that you really should, because it is so interesting and so creative that even though it definitely leaves you wondering what the heck did I just watch, it's in a good way. It makes you go, oh, I need to rewatch that and get more out of it, because this is a film that requires multiple viewings to really understand it. I've only watched it 4 or 5 times since I heard about it 2 years ago, and I still don't think I have a full grasp on everything that happens and referenced in this film. So, at the start of the film, we're following this girl known as Taylor. And Taylor lets you know everything about her in the first 5 seconds of in her introduction, because she tells you right away, oh, I'm a bitch. Stands for beauty, intelligence, talent, charisma, and hoobastank. Why hoobastank? Because they're good now, shut up. And we then proceed to follow her around a normal morning with her, which is basically her being entitled, insulting people that she hooked up with at the pizza parlor, yelling at her mom about how it's I'm not eating bread now. Since when? Since now! And being a dick to her brother, and just an all-around absolutely awful character. It's well, if you want to be cool and you want to be popular, these are the things you have to do. Number 1, you need to go watch Cinderella 2 this weekend. Because in this universe, there is a horror franchise called the Cinderella. It's basically the equivalent of having Stab in the Scream universe. And Cinderella is a character that was basically burnt before prom, and so she now goes and gets revenge with Saw-like traps. It's very Saw meets Prom Night 2, Hello Mary Lou. And basically Taylor is an absolutely terrible human being, so we get to be all super happy and excited when a Cinderella pops up and slashes her throat and shoves her out a window. The beginning of the film is very Scream. And then the film hard cuts to our actual lead of the film, a character known as Riley, played by Shanley Caswell. Depressed teenager with suicidal thoughts and tendencies. Basically, the opening joke is we see her in bed, and she's just depressed and doesn't want to get out, and she reaches under the covers, and she pulls out Red, and she's like, great. But then whips the covers back and reveals that she's basically lying in a whole bunch of fries and ketchup that she slept on. Elements of this film are going to feel like a spoof. I'm telling you that right now, because this we're only in the beginning. This is not even the tip of the insanity that we're about to get to. She describes herself as the second biggest loser in Grizzly Lake High School's student party history, only beaten out by this woman in 1992 who got a picture of herself taken while drunk going down on the stuffed bear mascot in the middle of the school. So yeah, we get to know a little bit about Riley. It's like this girl that has a cast on her foot because she broke it during the talent show contest, and is very depressed, and is a vegetarian, and has these lofty ideals but doesn't think higher of herself, and is a little bit suicidal, and has a crush on her neighbor Clapton, who is played by Josh Hutcherson. Basically, the whole thing starts with her trying to get to school and having trouble with that, and asking her dad to give her a ride, and he goes, yep, nope, still drunk, you gotta walk. And then her having to walk all the way to school. Once we get into the school, the weirdness starts to go up by a lot. For starters, there are hints that there are people being taken by aliens throughout the entire film, little newscasts of that the entire time. One of the students is checking out the bear mascot, and he's like, this bear has a magnetic field. It's attracting metal objects to it. And he takes off one of the claws, and he's looking at it, and it's like, there's weird technology inside of this bear. I wonder what I can use this for. We start getting the opening credits for the film, and they do a really subtle, creative job with all these really opening credits where it's like broken into the walls and different little parts of it. It's really interesting, really fantastically done. We get introduced to our cast of characters here. You have Riley, the depressed loser girl. You have Clapton, who is the boy next door kid that could be cool, but also could be seen as a little dorky. Like, he's not the most popular kid in school, but he could be if he wanted to. And he is crushing on this girl, Ione, who used to be Riley's friend, but something changed in her in the last few weeks. And now she is the popular cheerleader girl who broke up with her bully boyfriend to be with Clapton because Clapton knows, songs from the 90s. She is obsessed with the 90s for some reason.
You're as funny as Bronson Pinchot.
We see the bully character, who is very much like steroid-induced rage monster thing that's like punching the walls and goes straight up to Clapton. And he's like, you, me, flagpole, 3 o'clock. Show up or you're dead. You're dead either way, but it'll be more painful if I have to hunt you down, type of thing. And so they're about to have a big fight, and Clapton doesn't want to fight. He's very not a fighter character, but he wants to impress Ione, so he was studying the Roadhouse movie to figure out how to fight like Patrick Swayze did in Roadhouse. Are introduced to Riley's best friend, kind of, named Sander, who basically keeps trying to hook up and hit on Riley and make her be interested in him, and she keeps shutting him down and like wanting nothing to do with that. We are also introduced to the school principal, Verge, who is played by Dane Cook, and he has this big scar down the side of his face, and he's very controlling and very obsessive. Like, the trophy room in the school is just filled with trophies of the stuff that he accomplished while he was in high school. So many weird little honored conversations, weird little things going out. One of the teachers is like, hey, Build me a time machine or you fail the class.
Use what you've learned this semester about quantum physics and build me a time machine so I can get out of here.
Can't tell if he's joking or if he's serious. We see Riley going into debate class about, why we should be vegetarians, and making that debate where she is competing against Gord, the Canadian exchange student, who comes off very Eminem meets Snow from Informer, but basically is like bad-mouthing and bashing Riley. It's like, you are a weak human being.
Vegetarians like this girl, who is only wearing one shoe, have less confidence than everybody else.
And it basically wins the debate by being incredibly mean and incredibly aggressive. He's a Canadian, he shouldn't be that way type of thing. Riley gets depressed and she starts eating meat despite the fact that she's being a vegetarian, and decides, well, I'm done, I'm gonna end it all now. Builds a noose and goes to hang herself in the middle of the school hallway, and nearly succeeds, and people just walk by her like nothing happened. And just when she's like about to die and get her foot back on the chair and save herself, Cinderella shows up again for literally no reason, and then just tries to kill Riley with an axe. Riley manages to escape, runs out to the parking lot where Clapton and the bully are having a fight. Riley basically pushes them and reveals that Cinderella is trying to kill her, and no one believes her. The nerdy kid Sanders invites Riley to a party at his house later that night. That's supposed to be a costume party. She doesn't really want to do it. She goes home and ends up getting attacked again by Cinderella. She screams and manages to get the cops, but no one sees Cinderella, no one believes her. Clapton, it turns out to be like her neighbor, and he's like, hey, you want to go somewhere with me? And they get on the board of the skateboard and go skating down the street together. And he's like, you can tell me what's really going on, right? You don't have to talk, you don't have to hide from me whatever this Cinderella thing is. And she's like, no, Cinderella is actually attacking me. I don't know why. And they just kind of skate off into the night. They all end up going to the big football game for the middle of the night. Riley is dressed up as the school mascot, and the bully character is the head of the football team. And weird things are starting to go with him. Like, his hand starts developing this sticky glue-like substance to it, and then he ends up vomiting up acid. Riley goes and confronts him. He's like, hey, you need to be not messing with Clapton. And he's like, why do you gotta pick on him? He's like, hey, I'm not the bully here. He doesn't know what it's like to be a freak like me. And he's like, what? He reveals that he has fly blood in his veins. And then we get a flashback of the bully, where as a child, he went out one night and saw a meteorite land in the area, reached over and touched it, and it burned his hand. And his father, not wanting to have a freak in the house, converted his most prized possession, aka his television, so that his kid's hand would go into the television and hide his deformity. The kid, of course, was then bullied for having a television for a hand, and to keep from getting bullied, became stronger and started fighting and using the television as a weapon to beat the other kids with. Then as a teenager, they pulled his hand out and it was perfectly back to normal. Weird things happening so far. The stickiness in the hand, plus the vomiting of acid, and during sexual activities he will spout wings out his back. And he tries to convince Riley of this, and she doesn't believe him. She goes to leave, he grabs her, and his hand ends up getting stuck into the costume's fur, and he's trying to rip it out, and she's trying to get away from him. And Clapton walks in, and it looks like the two of them are having sex. And Clapton just turns and leaves, and Riley becomes even more depressed than she was. She goes to the party. She dresses up in a costume, because she was told it was going to be a costume party, but only her and Sanders are dressed up in costumes. Everyone else is dressed in normal clothes. And surprisingly, all of the kids from the high school showed up to this nerds party, but must have heard about booze or something. Riley gets there, sees Clapton with Ione, and she decides that she's going to use Sanders to try and make Clapton jealous, which of course doesn't work at all, and she ends up getting super wasted. The bully character shows up, starts to get into a fight with Clapton, and Clapton manages to fight back and pushes him into this grill where his hand catches on fire, and he just basically shakes it off. He goes to do a big punch over on Clapton, but Riley ends up falling in front of him and knocks the bully over, and he starts to have this metamorphic like change. His body starts shifting and stuff, so he runs into the house, goes upstairs, and starts feeling his body change more and more. And then Cinderella just shows up and gets in a fight with him, and he's winning the fight for a while, but Cinderella gets the upper hand and kills him and shoves him out a window. The cops, of course, show up and try to figure out what's going on. Somehow, for some reason, the principal decides that these 7 students are somehow responsible for the death of this kid. Basically, all of the characters that we kind of know and have met through this course of the story, and puts them into Saturday detention. And it's like, you are staying in here until one of you fesses up to who is the killer and who did this. You will be here all night. I don't care how long it takes. It's like, but prom's tonight. It's like, well, you're missing it if one of you doesn't come out. And how the principal has the power to do this, who knows. But basically, they're going to be in there until one of them admits to being the killer. Right before they end up going to detention, Riley is being comforted by one of the teachers who's like trying to help make her feel better. And she decides to take this as an opportunity and tries to kiss him. And he hardcore shuts her down. And it turns out that he is gay, and literally his boyfriend is like right behind him. And they go and, you know, kiss and head off into the sunset type of thing. So during detention, they are all trying to accuse each other and figure out who is the killer and who's the one behind all this. And then they're like, wait a minute, who are you? And it's like, there's this kid carving numbers into his desk, and he's like, oh, don't worry about me. I've been in detention for the last 19 years. Like, wait, what? Yep. What did you do? And it's like, I don't remember. We then see a flashback of this kid being in detention for 19 years, and each of the years you can see the different eras and the different outfits for each of the years, and it's actually really well done. You can like, oh yep, that was definitely this year, that was definitely 2001, that was definitely 1998. Like, you can pick them up just from the outfits more than anything. And he remembers back to like one of his first days in this detention, where he was sitting across from a blonde girl who looked a lot like Ione. And it cuts back to the modern day, and he looks at Ione and goes, have I seen you before? You look oddly familiar. We then get the literally most insane thing I have ever seen in a film that just comes out of complete and utter nowhere. So we find out that Ione isn't Ione. There was a girl called Ione. She was Riley's friend, and she entered the talent competition to do a dance. She couldn't dance, and she's talking to her mom. She's like, I don't know how to do any of these dance moves. The show is tomorrow. I can't do anything. And our mom's like, I was a good dancer back in the 90s. And Ione's like, well, that doesn't help me any. Like, you can't teach me it in one night or anything. And the mom's like, oh no, it's fine. We can just swap bodies. Wait, what? Well, I mean, not my current body, but you use your mind to swap minds with me back in 1992. And then I will come take over your body in the now. And then I can go and do the talent show and win you the competition and make you popular. And Ione's like, okay, what? That sounds insane, but whatever. Goes to bed that night. And then there's a spaceship arrives above their house, and Ione's mind travels back in time to 1992 and takes over her mother's body. And her mother's brain from 1992 travels to the present and takes over Ione's body. This plot point is so insane and comes out of nowhere and is so quickly explained. I literally had to stop the film and rewind it 3 times to even piece together what was happening. And even having done that and seen the film multiple times since then, it still doesn't make sense. The argument is that it was the aliens that did it, but it's also like, it doesn't make sense fundamentally as a time travel thing, because they time traveled via the mind, a la Quantum Leap kind of thing, where it's like Ione's mind traveled back into her mother's body, and her mother's mind from the past traveled into her daughter's body in the future. Except two things. First off, the mother has all of her modern day memories. Shouldn't have that if it's her brain from 1992. Secondly, somehow in 1992, Ione has a modern-day cell phone. How the f*** is she carrying around a modern-day cell phone if she only time-traveled via the mind? This is one of the most insane plot points I've ever come across in anything. And it was just like, it broke my brain the first time. That's why I had to keep rewinding it, because it made no f***ing sense. And even now, it's still like, this makes a little sense, but it is insane. We also find out that Ione's mom, who is now Ione, went to school with the principal back in '92, and he had a crush on her. He asked her out to prom. She said no. So he decided to get back at the world by building a bomb to blow up the school, but all it did was blow up in his face and cause him to have his big scars. The kid that's been in detention for 18 years has been carving things on his desk, and he reveals that this is a mathematical problem about the end of the world, and that he is very close to solving how the world will end. The film then proceeds to go in the most meta tangent I have ever seen in any film, where they are like, okay, so Cinderella is killing people via the events that happen in the Cinderella film. Well, they've already covered 1 and 2, so we need to know what's going to happen in Cinderella 3, figure out how to stop Cinderella. So one of them pulls out their phone, and they get an illegal bootleg version, studio cut of Cinderella 3. And the entire film goes insanely meta, because the Cinderella 3 sketch is a group of teenagers in a detention trying to figure out who is Cinderella and how they're trying to kill them. So they pull out their phone and then try to watch a sneak preview of the film that Cinderella is based off of to figure out what's going on. And then the film within the film is a weird Ron Jeremy-esque porno film. And it's like, what the is this? Sorry, this is the part of the film that breaks me. Like, the time travel thing is insane, but this is just stupid. Because it doesn't even lead to anything. But basically, while this is all happening, Gord, the Canadian exchange student, has been murdered off-screen. And then the principal comes in to yell at them, and he gets killed. And the detention kid reveals that he's figured out the math, that the world is going to end in exactly 10 minutes. And they're like, oh crap, is there any way to stop it? What can we do? And he's like, oh no, it's not going to end at 10 minutes from now. It's going to end in 10 minutes in 1992. Wait, what? Somehow, the bomb that the principal made in the 90s is now going to become a super bomb that destroys the universe. And they have to, like, well, how can we stop it? It's not like we have a time machine or anything. And the scientist-y kid that was studying the bear mascot earlier in the film goes, oh, actually, I used the tech inside the bear to turn the bear mascot into a time machine.
Where's Sander?
In Clapton.
Riley goes over to the bear, turns it on, and uses it to travel back in time to 1992. And in 1992, she sees Clapton. And she's like, if you're here, you must be the person that causes the bomb to actually go off and causes the end of the world. Why else would he be here? So she goes after Clapton and tries to figure out what's going on. And Clapton's like, no, I've been here for like 2 weeks. I've just been doing classes. Like, the teachers love me. I have an A in this class without even really having to try because she thinks I'm cute and stuff. And I know all the stuff from the future. It's not me. If anything, it had to be, like, Sander, because I saw Sander here and he's been hanging out with Principal. So they basically chase after and go after Sanders and grab him and drag him towards the time machine, but the bomb goes off and starts killing the universe. They manage to get inside the time machine, and they get back like a good couple more minutes before the bomb goes off, and Riley ends up running into Ione in her mother's body, and it's like, oh, hey, I'm so happy to see you. I love it here. This place is amazing. Like, I know everything that's going to happen. I know all the trends before they happen. And Riley's like, okay, I'm really happy for you. The principal guy asked you out on a date, yes? Yeah, he did. Okay, I'm going to need you to ask him out. She's like, oh, no, please don't. He's gross. He's weird. I don't like it. And she's very against it, but ends up going and asking him on a date, and he agrees and basically dismantles the bomb. Riley and Clapton go back to the time machine to try and go back to the present, but it is closed and will not open for some weird reason. Riley is like, oh, there's a weird lever here underneath the bear. So she gets down on her knees and goes under the bear and starts pulling on the lever and trying to make it work. The Detention kid arrives, but this is him in 1992. And he's like, oh, it looks like she's going down on the bear, and takes a picture of it. And the principal catches him and is like, you're in detention. You're going to go think about what you just did, you pervert. And sends him to detention. So Riley is actually the biggest loser in the school's history, because she is also the girl that went down on the bear and got a picture of it taken. They managed to get the bear open, but the nerdy kid shows up with the bomb strapped to his chest, ready to destroy them. He activates it, but it's not as powerful as it was. It only ends up making him explode. They travel back to the present. Riley and Clapton end up going to prom, and everything's a smidge different, but quite kind of the same. Ione stayed in her mom's body, so she's now a full-grown adult version of her mom and is married to the principal, and they are very happy together. Meanwhile, her mom is still in Ione's present body and is not allowed to drink or have fun or do any of the stuff that she wants to. And she is now interested in one of the other kids. Clapton gets over this really quickly. Somehow, Riley and Clapton end up becoming prom king and queen, and they have a big dance together, and they're like, start having a relationship. They enter the hallway after prom and start heading home when they are attacked by Cinderella, who removes the mask to reveal that it has been Sanders the entire time. Sanders basically steps down on Riley's just healed leg and ends up breaking it again, and gets into a fight with Clapton, where they both channel the warriors that they think are the most capable of fighting. So Clapton channels Patrick Swayze from Roadhouse, while Sanders channels Steven Seagal from On Deadly Ground. Sanders ends up getting the upper hand, pulls out the axe, gets ready to do the killing move, when the bear suddenly becomes magnetic again, and Sanders gets yanked back to the bear. While trying to get out of the bear's grasp, he ends up getting sent up, and ends up impaling his skull on the teeth of the bear, killing. We then have this very Breakfast Club kind of ending, where Riley is talking about how, it's like we're more than just the things that we think we are. We are cool kid, a nerd, an adult, a child, and listing all these things. And it shows that a bunch of the characters are now couples, and that she and Clapton are happily together, and it looks like it's going to be a happy ending. But then they are watching the television, and it cuts to a news program where we find out the aliens have invaded, and we see that Gord, the Canadian exchange student, is actually an alien vegetable, and that he is here to take over the world for humanity eating his vegetable brethren. And the film then rolls credits. And my god, this is one of the smartest, dumbest, stupidest things I've ever seen. Like, this film is insane after a certain point. Like, jeez Louise. It's one where you literally have to watch it multiple times just to understand what the fuck is going on, because it is all over the place in tone and style and messages and everything. It is absolutely insane. And it starts out so normal. Like, That beginning part is so Scream. It feels so 2000 slasher film to it that you're just kind of like, oh no, is this what we're getting? And then you have all of the odd dialogue and the odd choices. Like, this is a film I could see someone turning off at like the 20 to 30 minute point because the dialogue just feels weird and forced and not the most coherent.
Give me your iPod, salad eater.
And I would completely understand if that was the case and that's what happened to you. But my God, once you get to that middle part and there from the end, this film is just so insane and so creative and so interesting. And it's one where you're like, they're pulling everything out of a hat. They didn't set up any of this and stuff. And then you go back and you rewatch it and you're like, oh no, they set up a lot of this. Like, they were setting up the alien stuff from the beginning. You really have to pay attention to catch a lot of them. I've watched this film 4 or 5 times, and I don't think I've gotten half of the references that they set things up for throughout the entire film. There's so many little things in it that are just like, oh, this is how that happened. Like, inside the trophy case at the school is just a boot. And you're like, where did this boot come from? Why is this here? And it turns out, like, Riley lost that when she traveled back to 1992. She went to kick something, and her boot fell off and slammed into the trophy case. And that's where her boot has been since then. So it's all hers, but you don't know that until you get to the end. It's like you can just piece it all together, and you're like, oh, this is actually really smart, despite the fact that it's so dumb. So insane with some of the jumps that it does. Like I said, I'm glad I watched this on DVD the first time. I can't imagine going and seeing this in theaters for the first time and getting to that part where they explain that Ione and her mom time traveled via the mind with each other. Because it is so insane and so over the top and so ridiculous. It was weird enough with the bully kid having fly blood inside of him. I have a question for that. How did him touching a meteorite give him fly powers? What? Why? Also, why did his dad convert the TV into a glove to hide his kid's hand? Why didn't he just put it in a box? Or something simple? Like, it's such a weird choices. And it's one of those things where it's like, when it's happening, you're not 100% sure if this is real or if this is just him being crazy. But then the plot just gets more and more and more insane. Like the fact that this film has 2 different variations of time travel, and one of them makes sense and the other one makes no sense. How does the mom have memories about her being an adult if she is the mind from 1992? Again, also, if only the mind time traveled, how is she got a phone from the modern day? Like, if they just Freaky Friday'd the same day, that would have made sense. That would have been, like, more logical than this. I did like the whole thing with the principal and them actually becoming a good couple together. I thought that was super cute and charming. Just like, oh yeah, he was, like, I would not have dated him in a million years, but we have the same kink, so it works out. Like, it is just, like, pure insanity in the middle. And then to see all of the little bits and all the little parts that just kind of connect and go together really well, it is a really insane, one-of-a-kind film. Like, it mashes so many genres together. It almost feels like it's supposed to be a spoof, but it also takes itself very seriously at some points. It has a very kinetic energy to it and has a lot of weird stuff to it, and some of the ideas are just so really interesting and so creative, but it's also kind of incoherent at points and really hard to wrap your brains around. Wikipedia does not explain this story well at all. They skip the entire first hour of the film. They start explaining from the detention part. And it's like, that. Granted, that is where things go insane, but that is also losing all of the setup, all of the characters, all of this stuff. Like, the reviews for this are all over the place of it. It has like a 44% on Rotten Tomato, which I think is incredibly low. Like, just for the weirdness alone, this should be in like the 60s at least. It tries to be so much, and in some of that it exceeds very well, and other parts it's just like, woof, what were you doing? What were you thinking? but it has such a good energy to it and such a good ideas, and it's a film that leaves you thinking and leaves you questioning and makes you go, why did they do this? Or why are these the things that happen? And it's just so interesting. They do such a good job of creating these characters that are very likable and understandable. They're so odd and so interesting. Like, every character feels fully developed and fully interesting. Like, you don't get a lot of some of these characters. There's side characters in this that don't really have much to do or much to say. There's this African girl who's very clearly a goth and clearly to be depressed, and she's clear, like, they keep showing like different parts of her aspects, but you don't ever really get to know her, but you can feel there's more to her and more depth to her than we're seeing. And that's kind of a lot of the characters. It's like, I do love like the fact that them going back to the past did change the future a little bit. Like, he literally, there's a one random scene where Riley runs into a young version of her dad who's just like, hey, hot stuff, and, you know, hitting on her and this, that, and the other, and she basically just smacks him and goes, this is why mom left you, and cuts away. And then the next time we see him in the present, he's sober and happy and, you know, a much better person than he was the first time we saw him. It's an insane film. It's a film you have to study. You have to watch it. You have to do this fun, creative, insane horror movie that you just get more and more out of. Like, it does the horror well, it does the comedy well, it does so many elements of it extremely interesting. It's a film that, if you can open your mind and take it in as it is and let it sit with you, you will have this unique, one-of-a-kind experience that you will never get with any kind of other film. Like, this is a journey all of its own. This is an experience that way more people need to have seen, because the fact that this is basically unheard of 14 years later is insane, because this film is a blast and a psychotic breakdown all in one, that I do highly recommend at least giving this one watch, because it is an experience. But that is just my thoughts on this film. Have you seen this film? What do you think? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Did it make no sense? Were you as weirded out and confused by that time travel middle bit as I was? Anyways, happy watching, happy reading. I'll see you all next time. Bye.